When we go live?
We're live already.
Bismillah. Bismillah. You ready?
Yeah, he's gonna read. Yeah, I got no questions yet. Okay. Hold on.
Further Khalid.
What is the correct time to pray Fajr? And if someone uses the calendar and they stick by it, how does that person explain to someone else that it's the correct thing to do? If it is the correct thing to do.
Bismillah. Alhamdulillah. Salatu wassalam ala Rasulillah. Question says, what is the correct time to pray Fajr? And if you use the calendar, how do you tell someone else? So on and so forth. First and foremost is, there are many things that are signs for acts of ibadah. Whether it is the commencement of the month of Ramadan, the 5 daily prayers, menstruation, postnatal bleeding, a woman being pure from menstruation, puberty, buying and selling certain types of fruits and vegetables, many things that the Prophet ﷺ spoke on, the signs when it has come in, when it has went out, when a person has reached this age, when the fruit can be sold, when it can be bought, in which he spoke a language which to us, or most of us, not all of us, in the modern urban world, or even suburban, but the modern globalized world, is very foreign to us. Everybody understand this? Because of technology, because of science, medical science, because of space exploration, and the list goes forward. Satellites, everything is calculated, written down, mechanized. You see what I'm saying to you? You go to the supermarket. You understand? When a person is of age, 18, 21, they can drive, they can drink, they can do this. You see what I'm saying to you? Many foods and drinks that we have cause a person not to know the natural signs when a person is of age, when a woman is pure from her menses. وهكذا. So I wouldn't advise any Muslim in 2017 to make his own ijtihad of finding out the times of the daily prayers unless they have the proper organic knowledge and science. Buildings, cars, planes, radio waves, frequencies, just let alone the ignorance of the natural, old-fashioned way. It's very oftentimes, not impossible, oftentimes difficult if you don't have the basic skill. So what's important is that you find a website, a timetable, that it is or has credibility, has some type of respect, some type of reputation, to have both the best of both worlds, the science of the Sharia and the modern science. One of my personal teachers, one of the Mashayikh of Medina, was a direct student of Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala. And he said that Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah always had in his company scientists and astronomers and doctors and physicians. He always had these professionals somewhere relatively close to him. That way he could consult them with regards to issues of medicine and science. And then him giving the fiqh sabgha, the fiqh painting over the wall of science, of medicine, of economics, and of finance. as we said before, there are many issues in the deen which you cannot have the proper understanding and application unless you have the proper understanding of worldly things. Of what? Worldly things. Now, everybody understand this? So when we say that a person is not supposed to sell a piece of fruit, hatta yaswad, hatta yasmar, or yahmar. When does a fruit become black, dark? When is it ripened? Banana, when it's yellow, a little green. The list goes forward. How do you pick out a good tomato to buy? A good lemon to buy? The biggest lemon, the smallest lemon? Everybody understand this? A navel orange. We've lost touch with many organic skills that were staple in the Prophet ﷺ's language. So looking at the sky, when the sun is like this, can you do that living in New York City? Or time, direction, address, everything is what? Computerized. Walking down the street, text. Everything is computerized. You need a compass. Who has an analog compass? Who calibrates an analog compass? Spinning the compass. You do the phone, you do the figure 8. You got to spin the iPhone around to calibrate it. Everything is what? Digital. So if you don't have the proper skills, it's dangerous to make ijtihad. It's what? Dangerous to make ijtihad. So I would advise for you to learn the original way of when it's time for Fajr or for Dhuhr, what's meant by those terminology that's used by the Prophet ﷺ, and have the modern understanding of it. And if you don't have that knowledge, then stick with a trusted and respected timetable. Obviously, this is a little bit pertaining to a what? Far bigger concept. And Allah knows best.
Initials OR from Springfield, Virginia, George Mason University. Assalamu alaikum Mufti. May Allah reward you. How does one overcome doubts? Any beneficial books, actions, or practices?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. One overcomes doubts by asking Allah to protect him from those doubts. By asking Allah to keep his heart firm and sound. By asking Allah to keep him from the evils of those doubts. One protects himself from doubts by not allowing those doubts to even ferment. Not allowing them to grow strong, getting rid of them, doing away with them, blocking them out. And if it does fall upon you, immediately discarding the doubt. One prevents himself from doubts with regards to, or from beneficial knowledge. Piercing brilliance. Beams of light that slice through bellows of fog. Everybody understand this? It cuts through darkness. So you have to learn what's correct, why it is correct, and diversify the proofs and evidences. Have different dalils for one point. Dalil from the Quran, dalil from the Sunnah, dalil from the Aql, dalil from this, dalil from that. 3 or 4 hadiths on one issue. Everybody understand this? This is how a person, bid'nai ta'ala, stays far from these doubts. And also the company that you keep. And who are the people that you're around. We don't have time to get into the concept of Muslims. We live around the kuffar. We're among the kuffar so much as an effect upon our conceptualization of religion, of Islam. How to understand the text in the Sunnah. Oftentimes it's in the light of this culture or pop culture, whatever the case may be. So you have to be very mindful of the company that you keep, and character is a thief. Allahu alam.
Initials OR from Springfield, Virginia, George Mason University. Assalamu alaikum Mufti. May Allah reward you. If someone recently began practicing, what should be their primary focus?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Barakallahu fiqh. Their primary focus is more than one ways of looking at it. One way of looking at it is to learn the basics of Tawheed and Iman. The basics of the Aqidah of Islam. And to learn the virtues of Islam. And the beauties of Islam. And I think this is a very often or neglected topic. Mahasinul Islam. The beauties of the deen. Why is Islam so beautiful? That's one way of looking at it. And then after that, bid'nai ta'ala, to learn the basics of the purification, the basics of hijab, of dress, basics of one's dietary laws, and the list goes on. Another way of looking at it is for a person to start off and focus with company and then knowledge. One, good company. You don't read a book, you don't understand this, you say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, and immediately find and get good company. And then after that, a person being exposed and a person becoming addicted to knowledge and information and facts. When a person is open to read, to study, to listen, to benefit, everything will come. Everything will be easy and simple. Aqidah, Tawheed, easy. Arabic, Quran, can't eat this, you can't wear this, you can't marry this woman, this is haram, this is permissible, it comes what? Easy. But how many Muslims learn the basics, learn the simple things about Islam, and they're never taught and exposed to knowledge and the beauty of knowledge and the need and the necessity of knowledge? How many? So I feel to get in a healthy addiction to knowledge is one of the most important things for the new Muslim. Is getting exposed to the beauty of knowledge. But obviously, the new Muslim has to learn the basics of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, the basics of their creed. Wallahu a'lam.
Initials AB. Initials AB from Toronto, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, dear Mufti. May Allah preserve you. What is the correct way of making dua? An example, how should the hands be?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you as well. The first concept of making proper dua is that it's only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The dua is only for Allah. No one else. You don't call upon anything or anyone or any other time. Number two, one should make dua and he should realize the heaviness of dua. It's not a joke, it's not a game, it's not something that rolls off the tongue. Make dua, I'm going to make dua for you. It's serious, it's real, it's ibadah. Brother, the greatest act of ibadah, the dua, calling upon Allah Azza wa Jal. After that, one should realize that he has to clean him or herself before he enters upon the king. Put on your best clothes, the finest of your fineries. Smell good, be clean, be neat, be presentable. Humble yourself. You're entering upon the king. Allah Azza wa Jalla is Al-Malikul Haqqul Mubin, the King of Kings, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you make dua, ask Allah to forgive you of your sins. Declare Allah's oneness. Praise and laud Him. Send prayers upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ask Allah to cleanse you. Then start off with what you need. All recommended acts. Also, seeking the proper time for dua. The proper time. All time is any time for dua, but the recommended times is what I mean. Then, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, when it's time for you to make dua, whether you make dua with or without your hands, what's important is to raise the hands. How are the hands to be raised? Like this, or like this. If we have a specific, authentic text stating that the Prophet ﷺ did this or he didn't do that, then that's one thing. But for us to preferability, some of the people of knowledge say the hands should be cupped together and not open. And others say the exact opposite. Wallahu a'lam.
Initials OR from Springfield, Virginia. George Mason University. Assalamu alaikum Mufti. May Allah bless you and your family. How does one overcome the desires and ease of sin available today?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ameen. May Allah bless you as well. Similar to what we just mentioned with regards to doubts. Dua, not thinking about it, and if you do think about it, think about the vice. And if you do think about it, and you can't think about the vice, and you are tempted to fall into it, then get out of it immediately. Make tawbah a step or steps, a system. Don't think about sin. Don't think about zina. Don't think about smoking and drinking. And if you do think about it, then immediately think about the vice. how bitter it is, and compared to how sweet it is in your head. Step number 3, if that doesn't work and you do fall weak, don't continue to fall into it. Immediately pull yourself out when you have the necessary remembrance. Last but not least, is that the repentant slave is better than a slave that doesn't make tawbah, no matter what the case. The more knowledge that you have of the virtues of good deeds and the evils of sin, the evils of zina, the evils of these acts, inshallah ta'ala, the easier it is to implement it. Bi-idhnillahi azza wa jal. We also mentioned good company, good character. Who is your friend? Who is with you? What rubs off on you? Who pulls you and calls you to good? And who incites and makes it seem fair for you to disobey Allah azza wa jal. Company is very important. Also making a tangible solution. A tangible solution. A man is attracted to women, which is natural to be attracted to women. Women everywhere, it's fitna, uncovered zina, get married. Marry a righteous wife, a beautiful wife, a pleasing wife, a loving wife. Get another wife, get married and fast. Everybody understand this? Money, halal, whatever, make a halal substitution. Wallahu alam.
And it shows LH from Queens, New York. Assalamu alaikum Mufti. Hope all is well with you, your beloved family and beloved disciples in class. Please share with us some advices to soften hardened hearts.
Wa alaikum assalam, rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, all is well. And inshallah ta'ala, everyone is well. Bi-idhnillah. Thank you very much for asking. The same for you. Hardened hearts. Wallahi, I really don't have a new answer. Just like we mentioned before, the first step is Allah. And Allah, in His hand is the mulk, the dominion. He owns everything, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah's fadl, His bounty. He gives it to whom He wills, He takes it away from whom He wills. So iman, taqwa, knowledge, being safe from doubts, safe from temptation, all of these things are given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're given by Allah. And if you know that Allah possesses them, number one, and Allah gives them, then it only makes sense to do what? Beg Him. Beg Him for it. He is rich and He's generous. Rich and generous. So you do what? You beg. Someone that's generous but doesn't have wealth, different story. Someone that has wealth but stingy, it's a what? Total different story. This person has unlimited resources and the person is what? Generous. All you have to do is what? Ask. Rather, He'll give you something without asking, but I don't see you. Being in the right place, what? Everybody understand this? So we have to ask Allah for these things, for softness of the heart. Also, reading the words of Allah Azza wa Jal constantly, day and night. Reading the stories of the prophets, how they suffered, how they were persecuted, some of them were killed, their losses, their struggles. Now, Yusuf alayhi salam, Ayub alayhi salam, Ibrahim alayhi salam, how many years he waited for a child? And Allah said, slaughter the boy with a sharp blade. That has to soften your heart. Last but not least is to read the hadiths that are meant to soften the people's hearts. And alhamdulillah, on Hadith Disciple, we've done several videos on this, from Sahih Muslim, from Sahih Bukhari, with regards to heart softening narrations. And Allah knows best.
Abdul Rahman Sanchez from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Okay, alhamdulillah, in Philadelphia, a lot of brothers use the guilty by association principle concerning Muhammad Munir and Tahir White. How do I rebuke this with proof and examples from the Salah?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. As we said before, we try our best to avoid mentioning names unless it's absolutely necessary. Even if it's my name, or this one or that one, it doesn't have to be bad or negative. Someone could be defending. There's no need to mention it. What's important is I wouldn't advise you to rebuke anyone. A brother or sister a while back had a question, I think it was last week, with regards to Yemen and Damaj, Shaykh Yahya al-Hajuri, and so on and so on and so forth. and he's trying to put out a fire, a grease fire, with water. It's just going to add what? It's going to make it worse. So by rebuking, oftentimes it makes it worse. Not all of the time, we said. We said oftentimes. And oftentimes turning away, ignoring it, neglecting it. All right, whatever. Yeah, sure. All right. As long as you don't disrespect me, come within my circumference, put your hands on me, whatever, you can say whatever you want. I don't care. But you feed into the fire sometime. And rebuking, that oftentimes makes the fire grow greater. Because the one who's rebuking someone, whether it's Muhammad ibn Munir or Tahir White or anybody else, 99% of the time, they don't know what they're talking about. They're following someone else who's following someone else who's following someone else who's lying or misconstruing or cutting and pasting something that Muhammad ibn Munir said or did. So that person is unqualified to do what? To rebuke. And then you rebuke him and you don't necessarily know and have the proper knowledge. And then it's rebuker versus rebuker. And it comes with a third rebuker. And then it's 50 million rebukers. And we have a whole city and state and country of people that are ulama of rebuking. And only Allah knows what they don't or do know. Everybody understand? So sometimes it adds to the problem. Huh? Allah knows best.
And this is AB, Toronto, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Mufti. What is more rewarding? To help someone who is in need or to pray Salah in the masjid? Barakallahu feek.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Barakallahu feek, akhi. What's important is if it's a mandatory prayer, then there's no question. Unless that person in need is in a situation in which it's a necessity of life and death. If that's not the case, you pray in the masjid. As far as if it's supererogatory prayer, voluntary prayer, and that person is needy and they need your help, you help them out. That's best. Let alone the fact that making extra prayer is best to be made in the house. It's permissible to make in the masjid, but the best prayer that a man can make is in his house, with exceptions to the fard salah. What's important is that you have to learn how to weigh and how to balance between virtuous deeds. The obligatory jama'ah, that's not even an issue of discussion. Unless it's your sick grandmother. Unless it's your father that needs basic necessities of life. Eating, drinking, cleanliness. That's one thing. That's an excuse. Okay? Obviously, you have to manage your time. But let's say you're in a position where you have to take care of your grandmother all day. It's a different story. If you're talking about extra prayers, take care of the person, give the person a sadaqah, do what you have to do. Even though the best place to make extra prayers are in one's home. What's important is, when it comes to virtuous acts, you learn how to weigh. Certain things are better than other things during certain times, certain situations. And this hadith says to do this, but in this situation, it's best to feed. In this situation, it's best to seek ilm. In this situation, it's best to, wahakadha. You have to have fiqh ibadat, understanding of how to balance and juggle between the virtuous deeds. Allah knows best.
Initials AM from Wellington, New Zealand. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. I don't know Arabic to truly understand this hadith in Al-Bukhari. If Allah wants to do good to somebody, He afflicts him with trials. Can you please give me an example of what is meant by trials? And also, can trials be fighting yourself against harmful desires? Thank you, Sheikh. May Allah give you the best in this world and the hereafter.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ameen. You as well. May Allah bless all Hadith disciples in Australia. The Hadith means New Zealand. What's important is that Allah Azza wa Jal, when He afflicts His believing slave, He afflicts His believing slave not to destroy him, not to wipe him out, to vanquish him, but only to strengthen him, to clean him, to purge him of what he or she needs to be purged, of pride, of arrogance, of feeling that you can be separate and independent from Allah. You realize how poor you are, how needy you are, how weak you are. Strong man. I go here, I do this. I don't have to sleep like this. You get a sickness, you get an illness. And you're in a bed for weeks, for months. It humbles you. And it strangles your ego. And you realize that you need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or you have so many children, or so much wealth, or so much beauty, or so much knowledge, and Allah takes it away from you. He tests you. Hadith says, yusib minhu. Whenever Allah wants good for someone, yusib minhu. He gives him a musibah to humble him, to call him back to him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, bid'nillahi ta'ala, it could be sickness, it could be illness, it could be loss of life, loss of wealth, loss of possessions. Whatever Allah takes from you and tests you with, as a means to purify you, to purge you, to humble you, to weigh you down. And also, the amazing concept is that it was also meant to elevate you and have a high status in this life and in hereafter. And not to meet Allah in the hereafter without no afflictions and everything you being taken into account for. Because affliction is a means of expiation of sin. Wallahu alam.
Hasbullah Asad, Arlington, Virginia. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh. What is the ruling on cracking knuckles, especially at the masjid?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Cracking your knuckles like anything else that you do, if it's a means of annoyance, then it has a ruling. If it's a means of harm to those in the masjid, it has a ruling. If it isn't annoying, it isn't harmful, then it's anything else that you do. If you're talking about inside of the salah, then it has the ruling of doing any other action in the salah. As we have explained, certain actions in the salah are prohibited. Certain types of actions in the salah are allowed. Others are recommended. Some are obligatory, depending on the situation. When you pray, you should keep still. You should focus. You should be concentrating at the same time, not necessarily concentrating. Be submissive, be still. And you cracking your knuckles or cracking your neck in the salah is a lack of that. If it's a necessary movement in which you can't focus because your neck is aching, and if you don't crack your knuckles, your hands feel very, very uncomfortable. You do it once, tayyib, la bas. But don't keep doing it over and over again. If you can wait till after the salah, then that's best. But let's say so your hand is really, really itching, and it's bothering you in the salah, and you gently scratch it, la bas. You silence your phone, we say what? La bas. Nothing wrong with that. In the light of those fiqh principles that we've explained to you. Cracking the knuckles or what? Anything else. And the same applies to a masjid as well. Having smelly feet, eating from garlic, playing something loud in the masjid, reciting the Quran really loud. Brothers are resting or studying. Brothers, they come into the masjid, the class is going on, they make a second, third Jum'ah, and they recite out loud. Huh? Allah knows best.
Hasbullah Asad, Arlington, Virginia. In the Tashahhud, what is more authentic to say? Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum ya ayyuhan nabi. Or assalamu alaikum. Assalamu ala nabi.
Some of the people of knowledge, they say, Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Some of them say that's more authentic, to directly address the Prophet ﷺ as the Prophet told them to say. And the Messenger of Allah ﷺ clearly knew, إِنَّكَ مَيِّتٌ وَإِنُّهُمْ مَيِّتُونَ. Indeed, you shall die, O Muhammad, and they will as well. He knew he was going to pass, but he did not give them a different tashahhud to make. Secondly, they say that tashahhud was mentioned on the minbar by Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, who was from the Kibar al-Sahaba. And he said that dua in front of the Kibar al-Sahaba as well, without inkar. So some of them, they say that's the best thing to say. Whether they say it's more authentic, or whether they say that's arjah, is stronger from the usage and not necessarily authenticity. And there are other ulama who say rather a person should say Assalamu ala nabi and not say alayka ayyuhan nabi, because the Prophet passed on and there is no addressing him after he has passed on. As is narrated from some companions such as Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who is from the ulama of the Sahaba as well. So therefore, bid'nillahi ta'ala, it shouldn't be an issue which you fight over. Do what you feel is closest to the truth. Some of the ulama, they say what Umar narrated and others is the asal, the default. And nothing takes it away from the default unless it's a clear dalil. And Ibn Mas'ud's statement is not necessarily a clear, strong dalil. Al-Muhim, it's a mas'ala of ijtihad. Whatever you do, hopefully it won't be an issue of your salat being null and void. Allah knows best.
Initials AE from Brooklyn, New York. What are signs and symptoms of evil eye, hasad, or jinn possession?
From the signs of evil eye, hasad, jinn possession, and also what's not mentioned in the question, sihr, person having a spell on them, so on and so forth. Many signs that the people of knowledge mention. From them, nightmares. From them, severe lower abdominal pains. From them, a man can't have sex with his wife, a woman can't have sex with her husband. From them, a person feeling naturally, and not even naturally, unnaturally attracted and gravitated towards a woman that he doesn't really want to be attracted to, or vice versa. A person not being able to read the Quran, not being able to hear the adhan, not being able to touch the Mus'haf al-Sharif, and this is a severely burning or itching feeling or sensation. Now, as far as hasad is a natural thing. The ayn is the thing that's supernatural. Somebody could be hating you, you may not necessarily feel it. But the ayn is something that Allah allows, a sudden and unexplained sickness. My stomach is hurting really, 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 really bad out of the middle of nowhere. Maybe, maybe not. Allahu alam. A sudden and unexplained sickness, a sudden and unexplained accident or calamity. The people, they say, subhanAllah, you look at the American culture, the non-Muslim and the Muslims that are ignorant, or they just say it culturally, they say, don't jinx me. You jinx me. What does that mean? That's ayn. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's fat. That's major. And next thing you know, something happened. Jinx. They say jinx. And the Muslims, they say what? Ayn. You understand this? So these are some of the signs of ayn. As far as jinn possession, some of the reasons that we mentioned, a person hearing voices, having evil thoughts that are really strong, and often some of the ulama, they mention abundant wet dreams at night, in which the jinn may come and sleep with you. But in general, the jinn is connected with sihr. The ulama, they say in general, when there's sihr, there's a jinn. And many of them say when there's a jinn inside of you, then there's also sihr. That's a long, long, long discussion. Allah knows best.
Arlington, Virginia. Is there a Sunnah way of cutting the nails, such as which finger / toe to start with, etc.? Jazakallah khair.
The Sunnah way of cutting the nails, is there a Sunnah way of cutting the nails, so on and so forth. Some of the people of knowledge, they say start with the right hand because it's from izala or a tashrif. And others may say the opposite because you're removing something that's harmful. At the end of the day, the Prophet ﷺ instructed us to trim our fingernails, our toenails, and he gave us a time limit. And it should be done whenever you have the ability to do it, even if it isn't past the time limit. As Noe explained, every Jum'ah, for example. Okay? So whether you start from your right or your left, it's not obligatory, it's not haram to do the right or the left, or this finger, pinky finger, middle finger, ring finger, etc. But in that time, when you trim your nails and your finger and toenails, discard them in a basic, simple place. And it is not a condition that you have to bury them or get rid of them, put them in the dirt, as many people think. That's not obligatory at all. Some of the people of knowledge, they may even say that it's not even recommended to do that. That's a long discussion in itself. Wallahu alam.
Initials AE from Brooklyn, New York. How can someone rid the evil eye, jinn possession, hasad, sihr, and what advice can you give to that person?
Ridding yourself of the jinn, of sihr, of the evil eye, sometimes you can't do it. And sometimes it's totally ill-advised for you to try to do it yourself. In the beginning, when it's light, one thing. Preventing yourself from getting afflicted by it, that's one thing. But once it's full-fledged, just like any other type of sickness, you need to go in and what? See a physician. How to stay warm in the winter, what to eat, what to drink to keep me from getting cold. preventing you from flu. Wash your hands, hand sanitizer, this, that, so on and so forth. Dress, put this in your shoe, onions, garlic, drink orange juice, chicken noodle soup, have a scarf around your neck, preventative measures. And then when the cold is in the beginning phase, what to do, what to take. But you have a flu, you're sweating and coughing and shivering and shaking. You can't eat, you have diarrhea, this and that. You need to what? See a physician. Someone has more strength, more knowledge than you. So many brothers, they make a mistake and they don't get the ruqyah and they have a full-fledged jinn. They need a full-fledged exorcism. And they say, I don't want to ask anybody because of the hadith about the 70,000. I don't want to, la yastarqun. And they have a full-fledged demon in them. That's a waste of time and that's a trick of the shaitan. That's a trick of the shaitan. You need help and you need a professional to help you. So if it's light and easy, that's one thing. Preventative measures, that's what? One thing. Once you feel that you have a full-blown jinn in you, you need to see a professional raqi. And Allah knows best.
Arlington, Virginia. What is the ruling on praying voluntary prayers in units of 4 rather 2?
The ruling on making voluntary prayers in units of 4 instead of 2. If it's at nighttime, then it should be done in units of 2. If a person made them in units greater than 2, it's optional as well. As far as in the daytime, Salat al-Dhuhr, this prayer, that prayer, is permissible to make them in units as 4 as well, with just 1 taslim in the end. It's both optional. Wallahu a'lam.
This is AO from London, UK. I have a urine inconsistent and I find it frustrating and difficult to clean myself and do wudu for each salah, especially in the winter when the prayers are close together. What advice would you give me?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. When you have consistent, constant urination or flatulence or anything like this, any illness or sickness, the ulama of Islam, they say, wait until the prayer comes in. Don't make wudu or ghusl before it's time for the prayer. The adhan for dhuhr is, let's say, 12 p.m., for example. 12:01. Or if you wait till 12:05, clean yourself. The urine from your actual body. The urine from your private area, your thigh, your buttocks, any other part where the urine is soiled your body. And also clean your garments to the best of your ability. Whether that means switching them, washing them, whatever you have to use in the best way that you know how, then that you can, you do that, then you make the wudu. You leave the bathroom, you leave the wudu station, the urine comes right out. No problem. Don't think about it. Don't worry about it. Make the sunnah for Salat al-Dhuhr. Make Salat al-Dhuhr. Sit in the masjid, read Quran, make any prayers, do whatever you want to do until it's time for Salat al-Asr. Salat al-Asr come in, repeat the process. Maghrib, repeat. Even if you didn't pass wind or you didn't use the bathroom in a normal way, normal urination. But in this situation, you refresh your wudu for each prayer and you clean your body and your clothes in the best way that you know how, as long as it's not a hardship upon you. Let's say it's really, really cold or you don't have anything to dry off or whatever the case may be. And you continue that process just like that and you don't worry about it. Even in the salah, if urine comes out of you. Obviously, with regards to protecting your clothes from being soiled in a prayer or the masjid, wearing the necessary sanitary attire, things that the doctors and physicians give you, you should do that as well. And if you don't, what I've just explained is sufficient. Allah knows best.
This is AB from Toronto, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Mufti. An atheist challenged me with a hadith regarding killing a black dog upon seeing it. Is this authentic? If so, how do we address these kinds of people?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. An atheist, you taking a hadith about a black dog and killing it, or this issue and that issue, is what the atheist wants. You're playing his game. to deal with these different isolated situations and issues. You have to take the atheist to the foundation of him being an atheist. You don't have any faith in anything. So me and you, we can't even come together and share a cup of coffee. We can't even agree on the existence of God, let alone Muhammad, prophet, killing a black dog. What's a hadith? He doesn't believe in Quran. He doesn't believe in the existence of creator. Where are you going to go with him? The hadith means this, it's in this. Imam Fulan said that. Sheikh Uthaymeen said this. This was meant by a black dog. What is it? It's a waste of time. And he wants to waste time and play around with you. Let's get down to the nitty gritty, as we say. The asl of the asl. Asl al-usul. Why don't you believe in the creator? And you speak about common sense, logic, rationale, what the Quran says about the earth being dead. He gives it life again. About resurrection, about the heavens and earth. أَأَنْتُمْ أَشَدُ خَلْقًا أَمِ السَّمَاء بَنَاهَا. And then this goes forward. The principles of refuting atheism. The principles of refuting atheism. That's where you have to take it to. And every time he tries to get to the dog hadith, or beat women, or this, or that, or this, or that, let's go back to this first. We got to finish this debate first. And if you're unwilling to debate me on this or talk about this, then there's no point in me talking to you about a hadith about a black dog. That's firstly. Secondly is, the ruling of debating someone is just like we said with regards to the question that came from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, about rebuking someone that talks bad about you or talks bad about this one and that one. If you don't have the proper knowledge and proper qualifications, then you should avoid debating and arguing and rebuking. Leave that to those who do it well. Give them dawah if they want it. If they don't, peace. That beep sound, you hear that? That's what you need. Oh, gotta go. Sorry, I have no time to talk to you. Because atheists may say something to you, and you may not have the proper answer to, and it may cause doubt in your heart. وَلِيَعْذُ بِاللَّهِ.
Initials MH from South London, UK. Ustad, in what order should I memorize the books of Hadith after 40 Hadith? No. Would you suggest Jawam al-Akhbar by Imam Sa'di or Ummat al-Ahkam, Bulugh al-Maram?
Tayyib. May Allah bless you and make you successful. Ameen. If you plan on really doing it and staying with knowledge and sticking with knowledge and trying to take it far, then I would advise you to memorize Bulugh al-Maram. Memorize Bulugh al-Maram, inshallah. As far as if you just want to do something temporary, you want to be studious, you want to get a little bit of knowledge here and there, but Ummat al-Ahkam is good. Jawami al-Akhbar al-Sa'di is a big book. It's a bit bigger. Bulugh al-Maram is big as well, but it's easy, it's simple, it's explained, it's in your grasp, it's in your reach 10 times more than any other book. Bulugh al-Maram, even though it's bigger than Umdat al-Ahkam, in many cases it's easier. Okay? At the end of the day, I would advise you to memorize Bulugh al-Maram first. If you did Umdat al-Ahkam, that's fine as well. If a person did this Mukhtasar book or that book, what's important is that you get to the destination. But Bulugh al-Maram is a book that's been explained, that's been put in so many different ways of service. It's accessible. Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. Fi kullin khair, there's good in each and every book, each and every one, inshallah ta'ala. My personal advice is Bulugh al-Maram. Allah knows best.
Initials UW, London, UK. Assalamu alaikum. Allah bless you, Sheikh. What advice can you give to someone who memorizes a hadith but doesn't have anybody to spar with? How does one progress alone?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khairan. May Allah bless you in your efforts and in your struggles. Ameen. Do the best that you can. Fattaqullaha mastata'tum. You can't move forward because you don't have someone to spar with. You have no one to teach you this and that. Do what you can. That's what's important, is do what you can, even if you have to keep repeating it and going over and over and over again. We all know what Bruce Lee is quoted to have said. He said what? He says, I don't fear a man who knows 100. He says, I don't fear a man who knows 300 kicks. He says, I fear a man who's practiced one kick 300 times. That's what I'm scared of. Somebody has one thing and they've what? Done it so many times. They've mastered it. So if you can't move forward because you're by yourself, then keep doing what you've memorized over and over again until Allah brings you someone else. Or until Allah allows you to leave your hometown and go with someone that can teach you, spar with you. Everybody understand this? Until then, you keep shadow boxing that one punch, that one kick, that one technique over and over and over and over again. It's not a waste of time. Everybody understand this? Also, if you memorize, and you've memorized by yourself already, keep doing it. Keep memorizing by yourself. Even if there's no one here to teach you or to help you out, do it by yourself. And if you have some mistakes or some errors, when you get with someone, hopefully they'll fix you. And if you don't have any mistakes, you can't memorize properly, you can't read it properly, alhamdulillah. Do you think that every single thing I got from my teachers in Islamic University of Medina? Kalla, of course not. You think everything I got from Sheikh Abdul Muhsin Abad? No. I didn't get everything from the mashayikh where I was. There were countless things that I had to learn, study, read, benefit myself. That's a part of studying as well. Wallahu alam.
Assalamu alaikum. This was AA. This was AA Fagersta, Sweden. My question is regarding the rulings of hypnosis. Does it fall under the rulings of shirk, or is it permissible? Is there a difference for the rulings of entertainment and hypnotherapy?
As far as hypnosis or hypnotherapy, does it fall under shirk? Shirk is to give one of the exclusive rights of Allah to other than Allah. To give one of the exclusive rights of Allah to other than Allah. Of ibadah. Fair, hope, sacrificial slaughter, prayer, vows, whatever ibadah it is, that's the haqq of Allah. Ask yourself, does hypnosis fall under one of the rights of Allah? Someone being called upon, worshipped, service being offered, etc. If it applies, then it applies. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. We've said this many times before we get into the specifics of the answer, with regards to concepts that are unorthodox, untraditional, or unknown to some Muslims. It does not absolutely mean that it's shirk and kufr because the Muslims don't do it or they don't know about it. In the Middle East or other than the Middle East. They asked us before about chi. Can a Muslim believe in chi? Is there such thing as chi? Only Allah knows. What's important is just because it came from a different country or a different place doesn't mean that it's shirk and kufr. And well, if it was good, why didn't the Prophet talk about it? Okay, but you go to a modern hospital and use modern techniques of medicine. How do you talk about that? And GPS and so many other things. You use a compass. How does a needle move? What makes a needle move and dance and spin? Something makes the needle move. Something allows one phone call to go to this country. Do you see it? Do you know it? Does that mean that it's shirk and kufr? It does not mean. It's shirk and it's kufr to believe in chi or a compass or Ouija board, anything, giving one of the exclusive rights of Allah to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everybody understand this? Denying and rejecting the Quran and the Sunnah and so on and so forth. Claiming to know the unseen. Everybody understand this? As far as that which is a scientific act. And when we say scientific, this doesn't mean the orthodox science, because that's a long discussion in itself. Everybody understand this? There is a frequency that the human being has for which he understands and hears and responds to. And this person, by Allah's permission, speaks to this human being on another frequency, another brain wave, and gets him to subconsciously say something or do something, so on and so forth, because him being relaxed or asleep or this or that, or whatever it can be. What's the prohibition of that? If a person says that there's a source of energy in the body that is, when it's tapped and harvested and manipulated, it provides this and that. Why does that have to be shirk and kufr? Everybody understand this? It's no less weird or intriguing than electricity. Someone asked me a question. Where's the question come from now? UK? How is my voice? Where? Sweden. How is my voice going to Scandinavia, across the ocean? Where is my voice traveling? How is it traveling? They say this, and that of technology and science. And the same applies to?
Where is the internet?
And there are million questions like this on a daily basis. So therefore, I'm not an expert in hypnosis. What's important is, if a person finds I mean, before we go forward, we have to understand one thing. Allah says we created man fi ahsani taqween, in the greatest fashion, the strongest fashion, period. Do you think that the human being is crude or is a complex, intricate masterpiece? Everything is not just direct. There are all different types of functions and abilities that Allah allowed the human being to have. Just because you don't understand them or know them, or this scholar or this board of physicians, it doesn't mean that it's spooky and hocus pocus. It doesn't mean that it's sin. It does not mean that. It doesn't what? It doesn't mean that. Everybody understand this? So therefore, just look at it like this. I'll conclude my answer like that. Look when someone asks you for something, right? Someone asks you for money. You say no. Then that same person, he asks you on Friday, on Jumu'ah, outside of the masjid, and they're wearing clothes like a Muslim, and they say it in a specific way, and he has a little girl with her, and they make dua for you, they beg you, pull your clothes and say it in a soft, sweet voice. You might give the person some money. Why didn't you give them money before me? Give them money now on Jumu'ah? Because they spoke to you, they addressed you on a different what? Frequency. You're off guard. Your inhibitors aren't up. Your heart is soft. The voice, how can that? People have feelings. People have emotions. You don't want to do something. You tell your kids, no, we're not going to buy toys. Sit down. Then the youngest child says, Abby, can we buy toys? Everybody understand this? No one is going to deny this. Or your wife, a woman's voice. The baby is crying. The husband picks up the baby. The baby doesn't stop crying. The mom picks it up. How can that? Allah gives certain people certain things, certain ways, certain avenues. So if hypnosis is proven that a person relaxes someone and speaks to them in a certain way, and it gets them to feel and experience a different part of their brain, well, how could that? What's the problem in that? Allah knows best. Khalid.
How would you advise some of the younger Muslims or some of the people who just reverted to Islam about entrapment and these things?
With regards to desires?
Entrapment, like people go into them and tell them about this ISIS stuff and just basically
Clear. What's important is Muslim is supposed to have a strong mind, not to be weak-minded, not to be feeble-minded. And if you don't have a strong mind yourself, you're not that, formidable mentally, then be around those who are. Follow them, be with them, imitate the successful people, bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. Keep good company, as we said. Anybody that comes to you and they start talking about something that's outlandish, good or bad, this and that, be wary and be careful. Whether it's a Muslim, whether it's a munafiq, a zindiq, someone who isn't a Muslim, someone who works for the government, whatever, oh, I'll give you this and you can have this and you can, anybody talking about something that's outlandish, be very careful and be very wary. Stay away from that person, and you don't have to agree or reject or accept anything. Someone comes talking about ISIS, or you'll get paid if you wear this wire, spy on the Muslims, whatever the case may be. Okay, thanks a lot. Have a nice day. That's all you got to say. If you say no, why not? What's wrong? You don't want to go fight in Allah's cause? You don't want to do this? You don't want to help terrorism? You don't want to... Thank you. I'll think about it. That's all you got to say. Everybody understand this? That way, it's nothing that they can say. He accepted it or he rejected it. They can't lie on you. That's it. Stay away from those people. Be mindful. Be careful. Everybody understand this? And don't be away from the jama'ah. As it states in certain narrations, فَإِنَّمَا يَأْكُلُ الذِّئْبُ مِنَ الْغَنَمِ الْقَاسِيَةِ أو الشَّاةِ الْقَاسِيَةِ. It says, the one narration says that the wolf only eats the isolated sheep. The wolf only eats the isolated sheep. Easy prey, easy picking. He's weak-minded, simple-minded, and he's by him or herself. Everybody clear on this? That's my advice with regards to any type of entrapment. And Allah knows best.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is AA from Fagersta, Sweden. I don't know if I'm saying it right. What's the ruling on card tricks / magic tricks?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. in general, sleights of hand and things like this, they should be avoided because they eventually lead to things which are bigger, greater, and more dangerous. Even though a sleight of a hand or trick may not necessarily be sihr, the hardcore sihr, soft-core, hardcore sihr. They say black magic and white magic. Everybody understand this? The magic, or even magic and sorcery, two different terms. They say magic is a card or a bunny rabbit or an apple or coin, something like this. Now you see it, now you don't. And then they say that sihr is sorcery, wizardry, and which is dealing with demons, shayateen, spirits, supernatural, paranormal things that have abilities above that of the average human being. What's important is that one thing will eventually lead to what? The next. The soft core leads to the what? Hardcore. There's no doubt about that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the sleight of the hand is actual kufr, because it's not necessarily being involved with shayateen and serving shayateen and worshiping shayateen and desecrating the sacred things of Islam. It's just something that you didn't see it. See? I brought your attention by speaking to you, by talking to you in a tone, how I'm dressed, and I flipped it when you weren't. Well, how can that? Quick hands. Everybody understand this? It doesn't necessarily mean that that's shirk and kufr akbar, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's permissible either. Everybody understand the difference? What's important is these things should be avoided, and Allah knows best.
Initials UW, London, UK. Assalamu alaikum. Is there a Sunnah Salah before or after the Asr Salah? May Allah preserve.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Barakallahu feek. According to some of the people of knowledge, yes, before and after. Before and after. Or there's 4 rak'ah before Asr and 2 rak'ah after Asr. There's a very long discussion with regards to the authenticity of the hadith. Rahimahullahu rajulan salla qabla al-asri arba'a aw kama qeel. Allah have mercy upon a man who makes 4 before Asr. Long discussion over the authenticity of that hadith. And also the hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ made the rak'atain after Salat al-Asr. Salama's narration, Aisha's narration. Did the Prophet make those 2 rak'ah as a sunnah thabita, or was he making up miss sunnah? Very, very, very long discussion. What's important is, according to some of the people of knowledge, there is a sunnah qabliyah and ba'diyah for Salat al-Asr. And others, they say no, just Asr. You're confused, you don't know what to do, you're unsure, stick with not making any, because that's the default, that's the Asr. And Allah knows best.
Initials ZU from Birmingham, UK. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. What advice do you have for one whose heart, who has become dead, has lost all taqwa and is fearing it?
I can't answer that question, especially if the person who's asking the question feels that way. Because if you're asking this question and you're watching this video and this lecture, then everything that you're saying in the question is non-existent. If your heart has no taqwa, no iman, is nifaq, then you wouldn't be what? Asking this question. You wouldn't be listening to this lecture. You wouldn't be a Muslim. Waliyadu billah. As Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah and others have said, in haqiqat al-kufr, they say that the reality of kufr is kharab al-qalb. Khuluwa, there's no good in the heart. It's gone, it's void. The iman is gone, sucked out. What's important is that when a person feels down and low, I feel like a munafiq, a'udhu billah, astaghfirullah, I say this but I do that, I have this problem, I have this issue, so on and so on and so forth. It's a reality. But if you feel that way and you ask that question, you want to go to the masjid, and then that's a sign that you have guilt and shame. And that's a sign that you fear something of worse than that sin, which is nifaq. So that's a good sign. That's a what? That's a good sign, but it's not enough. Now you have to take that guilt, that shame, you have to take that humiliation, you have to take that negative energy, and by Allah's permission, allow it to turn into a positive energy, which is supposed to be a means of correcting errors. Everybody understand this? So that's my advice, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Whenever you feel bad, down and out, because of this, what you do, and what you want, and so on and so forth, Every time you have the regret, let it be fuel. Let it be steam to push you to making tawbah, to being righteous and learning from your mistakes. And indeed, the wretched one is the one who doesn't learn from his mistakes. He makes those errors in life and he doesn't learn from them. And a wise man and a wise woman is he who learns from his own mistakes. May Allah bless you. Ameen.
Initials AM from Cairo, Egypt. Assalamu alaikum Mufti. May Allah bless you with beneficial knowledge. Can you please recommend a good Islamic history book in Arabic or English?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Barakallahu feek. There are many books in Arabic, depending on how much knowledge you have of Arabic and of the other issues of Islam and the sciences of the deen. First and foremost, you got to start off with Seerah. You have to lock down the Seerah before you get into any other type of Arabic history. This is Seerah. After that, the Tarikh of the Khulafa. After that, the history of the major dynasty of the Muslims. And then, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, you start working your way up. So there are comprehensive books and there are summarized books. Comprehensive books, Tarikh al-Islam al-Dhahabi. A summarized book, Tahdhib Sirah Nabawi of Nawawi. Al-Fusul of Ibn Kathir. وهكذا. A huge exhaustive book, Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya. Al-Muntazam fi Tarikh al-Muluk wal-Umam. وهكذا. Tarikh Baghdad, specifically dealing with the narrators of Hadith, but it's more exhaustive. As far as with regards to the Arabic language. As far as with regards to the English language, then it depends on what type of history you want. Modern, current, or ancient, the Sirah, the Khulafa, and the great dynasties. It depends on what you want. What's important is Provisions for the Hereafter of Ibn Qayyim is an excellent book on Sirah. Naam? There are many others as well. Wallahu a'lam.
Assalamu alaikum. Introduce AA from Queens, New York. My mother has done sihr on my husband in the past, thinking it was taweez or protection. And I have noticed my husband's health is not great. What can I do to help?
Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, you have to inspire your husband to try to help himself. And from helping himself is seeing a professional. If you're sure that it was actual sihr, or you feel strongly, seek a professional raqi, an expert, skilled caster, a Quran reciter, one who casts the ruqya, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. That's what we mean by caster. Tayyib, he gives the ruqya, inshaAllah. That's what we advise. And when he goes to this expert who's upon the correct aqidah, take his advice. Take the medicine, take the prescription, and do the things that you can do of reading the Quran, of making the adhkar, of certain foods, certain drinks, and avoiding certain statements, certain places, and certain people. That's what's important. What's important is that you go see a physician, a professional physician, a professional raqi, and don't try to figure it out yourself. That's my advice in 2017, in which there's so much ignorance, and people can barely read the Quran properly, and the list goes, People don't have the adhkar on a daily basis. That's my advice. Allah knows best.
Initials HA from Arlington, Virginia. Is it authentic to raise the index finger when saying the Shahada after wudu? Jazakallah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Barakallahu fikum. I don't know of an authentic hadith that instructs you to raise the index finger after making the Shahada after the wudu, to make it a specific sunnah. The general concept of a finger of the Shahada in general, but of a specific act like that, of an authentic text, don't know about that.
Initials AK from Bristol. Assalamu alaikum. Allah bless you all. Initials HA from Arlington, Virginia. If a non-Muslim says happy holidays, what should I say back? Jazakallah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. A non-Muslim says happy holidays, say have a good day. Have a nice night. Be safe. And Allah knows best. Inshallah, this will conclude our session for tonight. May Allah Azza wa Jal bless all of you, reward all of you. And hopefully, bidnight ta'ala, tomorrow everyone tune in for Hadith Disciple Conference. Inshallah ta'ala. What time? Time should be bidnight ta'ala, I believe from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Inshallah. 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Start between 12 and 1, inshallah, to 8 p.m. As we announced, inshallah.